Welcome to Recap Our Studio.
The film takes place in 2024 when the globe is still reeling from the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. In reality, the virus has undergone mutations and is now a more lethal strain called COVID-23. For the last 215 weeks, everyone has been cooped up indoors. However, despite these efforts, the death rate has increased to 56%. Every citizen must submit to a daily app-based virus test. Those who fail will be sent by the sanitation department to the quarantine zone, also known as the queuing zone. Someone who enters the waiting zone, legend has said, never leaves. A nationwide curfew has been imposed, and citizens are not allowed to leave their homes during this time. If they don't cooperate, everything is filmed in real time. Next we see Nico, a delivery kid, who is out and about on his bike delivering things to various addresses. Since he is wearing a yellow wristband indicating that he is immune to the sickness, he is free to go about anywhere he pleases. But he may still share it with others. Nico is employed by Lester, who operates a courier service for the affluent. On the other hand, we meet Piper Griffin, a rich lady who, with her husband William and daughter Emma, lives in a mansion fit for a queen. Emma, like all the other kids in the lockdown area, is lonely and wants a friend, but Piper dismisses her request, saying it's not safe for Emma since she has an autoimmune illness. This is followed by the mother and daughter taking and passing the viral test. Nico brings the parcels up to their house, puts them in a UV sanitizer, and then leaves a large gratuity for Piper when he delivers the packages. Nico visits Sarah, who lives with her mom Lita, in her apartment after coming back from work. Since Sarah is obligated to take care of her grandma, she is unable to leave the house, therefore she and Nico have never really met. Here we learn that Nico is secretly putting away money for a yellow immunity band too for Sarah so that they may leave the city and start a new life somewhere. Nico is prepared to sacrifice everything for the love of his life, despite the fact that he knows that purchasing such bands illegally is a crime. When the scene shifts, we meet May, a famous female singer who is doing a live session and taking requests from her fans, and we learn that a disabled war veteran named Michael Dozer, who happens to work for Lester as a drone operator, has tipped her $100 and messaged her, saying that her music helped him get through the war. May is moved by this and performs a rousing song to encourage him. After their session, May contacts Dozer and asks him about his job experiences. Dozer patiently fills him in, and the two of them become closer. Nico, on the other hand, drops by Sarah's place and offers her a package of pencils since she enjoys drawing in a note with a humorous poem he wrote just for her. In the meanwhile that Sarah and Nico are having a video conversation through their phones. When Lita tells Sarah she's unwell, Sarah understandably panics, but Nico reassures her that he's on his way. This is when she gets a knock on the door from the head of the sanitation department. Harlan tracks down an evader from the Q zone and stabs him to death. Just as Sarah is bracing herself for the worst, Harlan appears outside and informs his men that they have the incorrect door. The team then breaks into an adjacent flat and forcibly removes a patient to the waiting area, known as the Q zone. The same moment, Nico jumps on his motorcycle and speeds over to Sarah's place. When he finally arrives, he tries to reassure Sarah that everything is going to be well. Nonetheless, she asks him to return since they may be in serious danger if they are discovered. When Sarah eventually agrees to spend the whole night chatting about their great moments, Nico insists on keeping a watch on her from outside the door. In contrast, Piper's husband William is getting ready to sneak out of the home. When he opens the door, his wife unexpectedly appears and demands to know where he is going. William claims to have a meeting, but Piper isn't convinced. She still lets him go, but she has him burn his clothing before he comes back in. Soon, in the next scenario, William visits May at her house, where he and May have a good time. William is an absolute turd. William goes home after happy hour and, per his wife's request, burns his clothing in the fireplace before stepping foot inside. Next morning, as Nico is still dozing on her front step, she has an idea. Sarah visits Lita for the regular virus exam they both need. She gets tested for viruses herself and comes out clear, but when she scans Lita, the program finds several and proposes Lee be sent to the quarantine zone. Nico finds out as well and attempts to get Sarah to help him leave. Sarah, however, declines his offer, explaining that she cannot leave Lita in her current state. She also warns him that the sanitation troops may show up at any moment, making this perhaps their final encounter. Nico is saddened to hear this, but he refuses to give up. He tells Sarah that he will acquire some immunity passes nonetheless and then exits the building. Then he calls Lester and asks if he can get immunity passes for Sarah and her grandma. Lester says he doesn't have any passes himself but knows who to contact. Afterward, he fills Nico in on the Griffins, who he says are the city's main immunity paste sellers. Nico visits the Griffin home next, where he has a pass-related conversation with William. The Griffins are startled to see that a regular citizen has learned their secret, and they assure Nico that they do not trade in illegal substances. However, having no other choice, the latter begins pleading. Piper informs Nika that she is out of the bands but that she knows a place where there are many more. She then provides him with a location and instructs him to go there immediately. When Nico gets at the specified location, he enters a derelict building to meet the dealer. Meanwhile, Harland, posing as an immunity band contractor, wanders about the area. After being harassed by Harland for personal information about the girl for whom Nico is attempting to obtain the band, Nico becomes suspicious and stops giving him any further details. Harland becomes so upset that he attacks Nico with a pocket knife, and then beats him with the latter when he tries to defend himself. Sarah rushes to check on Lita and is horrified to learn that she has passed away. She quickly contacts Nico to give him an update. Nico tends to his wounds, and then proposes that Sarah hide there until the garbage men come to haul him away. Meanwhile, May is filling Dozer in on all she knows about Griffin and his shady immunity band enterprise. She informs him that Griffin is only interested in using her to satisfy his own needs, and that she can't stand being used in this way any longer. Meanwhile, May receives a message from William saying he wants to see her later that evening. This time, the customer made the request, and he was told that their communication was being monitored. After this, William phones May and berates her for being immoral, but May responds by blackmailing him, threatening to expose his illegal dealings unless he stops calling. The conversation is abruptly ended, leaving William anxious and apprehensive as he should be. Surprisingly, Piper overhears their whole discussion and confronts William with a pistol and the knowledge of his extramarital affair the very next scene, as he exits his room to rejoin Piper. For the sake of her daughter's safety, Piper eventually drives her husband away. In the aftermath of William's departure, Piper contacts May to tell her that he would soon be coming at her apartment to assault her. Shaken by the news, May quickly calls Dozer and requests to remain at his. Dozer agrees to be of assistance and to have her stay at his house. When the crew inside Sarah's apartment begins looking for her, the sanitation department shows up outside the building. She ducks into the ladies' room and grabs a bat. Harland is there too, and he keeps nagging her to come clean, but just as he does, Sarah strikes a member of staff and knocks him out cold. After donning his hazmat suit, she was able to leave the premises undetected. Furious, Nico then breaks inside the Griffin's home in pursuit of the bracelets of immunity. As Lester checks his GPS, he is taken aback by the position that appears for Nico. Therefore, he phones Piper and nervously fills her in on the issue. Piper and Emma go into the bathroom so she can get ready to confront Nico with a pistol. A short while later, Nico is ambushed by a threatening Piper who brandishes a gun. Nico assures her that he is not trying to out them in business but rather to get his girlfriend some medical attention. Piper drops her weapon upon hearing this and pulls out a briefcase containing a number of protective wristbands. Now that Nico has completed his assignment, she opens her laptop, codes a bracelet, and hands it to him. Nico expresses his appreciation to Piper and exits the building to find Sarah. Now we cut to me, as I hastily pack my bags to leave before William comes. Dozer then launches his military drone in the direction of May. When May's attempt to start her automobile fails, William appears and orders her to exit the vehicle. This happens if she refuses to cooperate. He forcibly enters the vehicle and seizes her by the throat. Thankfully, with the aid of his sniper talents, he was able to track down the two and eliminate them. He uses the drone to kill William and the goddamn Dozer to rescue me. Although she has not yet shown any signs of coronavirus, Sarah, who attempted to escape while wearing the hazmat suit, has been apprehended by Harland and his team. Nico arrives to Sarah's apartments, concerned that he hasn't heard from her, only to be attacked by Harland, who has been waiting for him. Harland attempts to stab Nico in the neck with his pocket knife again, but this time Nico grabs Sarah's sketch pencil and stabs him in the neck. Harlan suffers severe blood loss and passes away instantly. This should educate him to invest on a more substantial blade. Nico is leaving Sarah's apartment when he discovers the photo of the sanitation department van that would take her to the holding area that was on her phone. When he can't find the car, he phones Lester and has him look for it. Lester then has Dozer locate the car since he is too lazy to do it himself. He had Lester and the Dozer linked up to his cell phone. Nico gets on his bike and circles the area until Dozer detects the sanitation van and tells him where to find Sarah. Nico races there and makes it there just in time to avoid missing Sarah being ushered into the waiting area. After the police attempted to stop Nico, he sneaked up to Sarah and gave her the yellow immunity bracelet. The police then arrested Nico, but after a thorough search of the two, they decided to scan the bracelets rather than release them. When it is revealed that Nico and Sarah are both immune and can be freed, the long-separated couple embraces for the first time in years. Suddenly, Sarah admits that she, too, is immune to the virus. She says that she stayed in her flat for so long because she was afraid for her grandmother's safety. Piper and May join together to frame William and Harlan as the ones responsible for the illegal wristband sales. Dozer into May start dating digitally as Nico and Sarah are driving along the Pacific Coast Highway, shocking Nico but leading to his understanding and forgiveness in the film's closing scene. At the film's conclusion, Nico sends Lester a gift, an immunity bracelet, to thank him for his support throughout the plot's most tense moments. Turn on post-video alerts, like this video, and subscribe for more content like this. Your attention is appreciated.